So today I did something a little different. I watched a Friends movie, and I wanted to just speak a little bit about it. It's a movie called Near Myth, the Oskar Knight story. So I wasn't entirely sure what the movie was going to be like going in. I mean, I didn't look up a lot of it. I didn't, do any research on it. I don't think it's been released yet officially, but it did go to film festivals. So I thought it was a documentary going into it. And the funny thing is it's actually not a documentary, but it seemed like it was. I think that was the whole point of, one of the points of the movie was it was almost like it was a documentary, but not. So I'm drawing a blank right now for what that's called. I'm actually a filmmaker myself, as you guys know, and I'm actually directing a documentary right now of my own. But the Near Myth, the Oskar Knight story is not a documentary, it's a comedy, but it's made to look like a documentary. So it's done really, really well. So it takes place in the early 1900s, and then it sort of moves throughout time, right up until not quite the present, but late 90s. And it's done in such a way where it's really interesting because the director, his name's Scott Fivelson, he did a really great job. He used footage from old films and inserted it into certain areas of this documentary, but not just like not a documentary, but you know how they do that in regular documentaries when they're like telling a story about something and they utilize old film footage to go back in time to show the story of what they're describing right now? Well, that is what he does, except that he's describing a story that didn't actually exist. So it's like a movie that's made to look like a documentary, but it's not. So it's on a fictional character, but you actually it's so well done that it feels like I'm watching a story on a legitimate person, like on a real human being who existed in Hollywood, by the way. He's built this entire persona around this man named Oskar Knight, who in this movie it feels like this person is legitimately a real person. And interestingly, Scott, the director, utilizes this old footage from Hollywood footage, and it looks like he places Oskar, this actor, into scenes, which was, incredibly well done. it blew me away. Those scenes where there's this fictional character placed into these photographs of, Cary Grant and who else did I recognize in there? There's so many big older actors in there from the black and white days in Hollywood, and he did such a good job that actually it was difficult to tell in some parts that who was Oskar Knight and who was just someone in the background. It was like, wow. He also, another interesting thing that Scott, the director, utilized is he made some of the film, even the current film, kind of look like it was home video footage. And as a filmmaker, I really appreciate those little things that are done like that, because it brings you in. And visually, it helps to not just tell a story, but it helps to kind of like paint this whole feeling of being brought back into a genuine story of someone that you think actually lived. Like it felt that way to me. It felt like I was watching a legit story about someone in history that was, highly revered. So, yeah, it was really, really well done. Excellent cast too. You guys have got to see this. There's a lot of well-known actors in this movie that came on and pretended that Oskar Knight was in fact a real person. And they're telling their stories about Oskar, saying how well known he was and how well respected he was and how much they would want to, follow in his footsteps and sort of be like him, and how honored they were to just know about him and to share these stories about him. And it was like, I can't believe these guys are talking about someone that doesn't actually exist. It made me feel like this is a real human who actually lived in history. He won an Oscar. He's probably on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He's got his own star. It was very, very well done. And there were some like Western elements in it too. And this really interesting scene, which I'm not going to go into because it's better that you guys just see it. But the director also kind of mixes times as well. He mixes like a Western time with a present time and brings it into the same scene, which I thought was totally original. I've never seen that before. Not in anything I've ever seen. So it was it was very well done, very thoughtful. Very different. I've not seen a film like this, and I don't know when it's going to be released either. I need to find out from Scott, the director. But it was a really fun watch. It was really interesting, really crafty. Very well done. I don't know who did the cinematography. I don't know who did the editing, but they did a very good job with just bringing all this stuff together to create this story about someone that you would swear when you watch this that this guy existed. He's existed throughout history. Very well done. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for joining me to listen to my review of Near Myth, the Oskar Knight story. Thanks for being here. As always, thank you for all of your support. And Scott Fivelson is the director of Near Myth, the Oskar Knight story. Scott, it was a great film. You did such an awesome job. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed my review. Take care, you guys. See you soon.
Grounded, so we got in a little bit of trouble. We broke the law.